All right, I think we are live on Facebook and I think we're live here, so welcome. Good to see you today and appreciate your coming and joining us. We've got a really good topic to address with everyone. So let me make sure I've got my recording going here. And a very good welcome to all of you. So glad that you could join us today. We've got a presentation today that I think is really important for a lot of people. We're going to look at 5 key things to look at when you're choosing a company to partner with. And so 5 things to look for when you're looking for a company for the first time, or if you've been with a company and you're not sure if it's the right fit. And this is not designed to encourage anybody to shift or change or make any kinds of dramatic company changes. It's just a kind of a due diligence or a priority list. So we are going to be talking about 5 key things to look for when choosing a company to partner with. And these are things that will make or break your success. And the reason for doing this topic right now, like many of you, I'm sure you're hearing from people who are now looking for ways to work from home. And so wanted to address this and share with you my knowledge and experience on choosing, a side gig or even a main gig or a change gig, whatever it might be, but a company where products and teams are built so that you're setting yourself up for success when you first get started. So I'm really excited that many of you could join us here today. If you want to let us know where you're from and where you're coming in from, let me know. I've got this on Zoom and also on Facebook. So either way, let me know and I'll try. Don't know if I'll be able to see that, but also let me know how your day's going. But this is a topic that's been on my mind for a while, and my wife and I have had our ups and downs. When we joined this industry in 2014, we've had some experiences. We've gone through, unfortunately, a good number of companies, and I've learned the hard way some of the things that I'm going to share with you. But I'm going to share with you some things that I know about companies and also how to pick the right one for yourself, because I've come to be able to find out that. And so, I mean, one big thing is when you're building a side gig, when you're building a team, when you're building a distribution network for products, these kinds of things, building, maybe it's a service related, a financial or something like that, but you're building leverage income. You're trying to take advantage of what Robert Kiyosaki calls in the cash flow quadrant, the B quadrant, and maybe take some of that money and make it work for you. But you're working on getting leverage in the B quadrant of Robert Kiyosaki. So you want the best vehicle for your bang. That's how I would kind of say it. So the best way or the best place is where you want to plant yourself and build your legacy. And that certainly, in terms of building a business, is leveraged income. This is what attracted me to network marketing. I was someone who could earn a lot of money exchanging an hour of my time for an hourly rate. And if I worked an hour, I got an hour. And I could work hours and get good money. But as soon as I stopped working, the money stopped. And I wanted a business where as soon as I stopped working, the money kept going. And that's the idea of leveraged income. So there are a few things that I've learned over time and over the years that I'd like to share with you. And, timing is the first thing I'm going to talk about, and it's not necessarily the most important thing. So this is not in order, but it is the first thing. And so you want to look at the timing of a company, and what does that mean? Well, for most companies, timing means the company is in momentum. So let me give an example, a positive and a negative example. There are some companies that start off really fast and then they have kind of gone into a sleepy mode, or maybe they made mistakes and they're heading sideways or downward. Unless you're a massive builder that you're sure that you by yourself could kick that company back up, that wouldn't be typically a company to join, right? The other thing is startup companies, and this is going to be a little bit controversial, but I'll just say it the way it is for me. I have joined a good number of startup companies, and that means a lot of different things. But personally, now I don't love being in a startup company. In fact, I now have a saying, I am allergic to startup companies. And if someone saw me visually when they, hit me up with a startup company, I'm going like this, right? uh, get away from me. Because that's a personal choice, but here's some statistics on why. As I've also had the personal experience of this. Within the first 2 years of all network marketing companies, 90% of them fail. So why are you in a side gig? Why are you in a network marketing company? It's to get long-term residual income. And if you know that chances are 9 out of 10 that the company you're joining with is going to be gone in 2 years, why would you do that? Now, there are some people that want to do that and make a career out of that. But if you notice, most of those people go from failed company to failed company to failed company to failed company. And I've been there, honestly, because I have tried, especially in one industry. There were in 2016, 2017, a lot of startups in a particular industry. I'm not going to get into what that one was. If you know my history, you know what it was anyway. But those first 2 years, and then out of the 10% that survive after 2 years, only 10% of those survive another 2 years. So those first 4 years, 4 or 5 years, depending on the stat, they're absolutely critical. And only 4% of network marketing companies ever make it past 10 years. Now, if you're in this to build long-term residual income, why would you reduce your chances to so small that when you start with a company, there's only a 4% chance that 10 years from now they're going to be here? That, to me, you're setting a hurdle so high, so impossible, so ridiculous now statistically, and also in my experience, I've just not been able to do that. Now, long ago, I did get in on a startup company. So I have one exception in my entire career, but I wasn't really able to build with that company because I had a job that wouldn't allow me. So there's a weird exception, and there will be exceptions out there. And people say, well, it's a startup company, and they'll make money for a year and a half, and the company will disappear, or they'll make money for 9 months, and the company will disappear. But okay, so that's timing is absolutely one thing. The other thing is, there can be companies where the timing of the company is long past. And I have a friend of mine, you might recognize this, but it's a company where the leaders drive pink cars. Okay, we probably all know what that company is. And it's been a long-term major company, really proud company. It's helped a number of people. But I had a friend of mine, a lady friend of my wife and I, who was in that, and she did pretty well. So she got one of those beautiful pink cars. The thing was, driving that pink car, everybody knew what company she was in, and everybody knew it was that company, and everybody around, and their mother and their brother and their sister and their neighbor also sold the same products. So then they all just wanted to get reduced price products because it was cheap. Now that's cool, and I'm not saying don't go to that company, and I'm not saying you couldn't make a great income with that one and do really well. I'm just saying, that company is probably past its momentum. You could be the 1 out of 1,000 exception, or maybe the 1 out of 200 exception, whatever it is. I'm just talking about odds here, right? So just telling you odds. And the other thing about timing also kind of relates to product. So I'm going to come back to product here in a second, because product is another key factor. But let's say, okay, the company that I did get comped into back in the late 1990s when I couldn't work it, and I'm going to give an example of that as a product later, but at the time, it was the one and only and the great famous juice. And I still drink it to this day, by the way, but I haven't promoted it. It was a great product. But today you can go to Walmart or you can go anywhere else and get that same product. There's not a market to market that company, and everybody knows that. So right now, a sizzling product that's just out there that would sell itself, that would be cool. A product where you can go to Walmart or Amazon and find it for the same price or cheaper, that's hard, right? So unless your product is really extraordinary and isn't available on Amazon and Walmart, you know, you might be smart to stay away from that kind. And that's just one example, but again, that's mostly. And I'm going to come back to that, but again, I'm allergic to startup companies. And what I'm looking for, what I look for in the primary company I'm with now, is a growth trajectory. And I saw in the company I'm with now that it was going like this, and then it went like this, and then it went like this. Now that is a company in momentum, and that's what you're looking for. You want to be looking for that upward trajectory and then grab onto it at the right time. Now, that's factor number one, timing. Second factor is the compensation plan. And you know, for me, I've been a consultant to the industry. I used to be you know, I still am a registered lawyer, but I'm not practicing law anymore. But I used to give advice to network marketing companies. So I've gone through hundreds of compensation plans, and I know there's basics. You need a good compensation plan, has to meet the legal requirements, but it also should give fast upfront money. It should give long-term residual money, and it should encourage leaders. So those are three key things that I look for in the compensation plan. And if they're not there, that comp plan isn't for me. It wouldn't be one that I would go through. Now, I also have learned through experience that even if it has those three things, there are some companies that have those three things, but you have to jump through a lot of hoops and they have a lot of gotchas. So you can't get that money that is there for you, or you might lose it because so-and-so, you know, maybe you have to have 20 people who also make a certain rank before you can get a bonus, or you get a bonus to a certain point and then you lose it, and then you have to regain another bonus, and then you lose that and then you regain another one. But another part that I look for in the compensation plan is, does it have, is there a reward for retail sales? Because that's a big thing with the U.S. authorities now, that their company encourages and has retail sales. So that should be there. But the strong upfront money, I want that in the comp plan, both for myself, but also I'm building a team. I want to be sure that my team gets fast money upfront, because we know statistically, if people get a paycheck reasonably quick, they're going to stick with the company, right? So you don't want it to be such a long time to get requirements and so forth. So like the company I'm with now, we get paid every Thursday, and it's got fast money, and that's really good. I absolutely love that. And there are other companies that do that. You know, why I chose the one I did, I'm not going to get into that much. But those three things, the retail ability and no gotchas. And one related thing to the comp plan is look at the company owners. Because again, this was something in that company long, long ago I told you about that I never actually got to work. I was getting a check from them, but they did what owners sometimes do. So the owners changed the comp plan. And so you can pretty easily find out, has the company changed its comp plan regularly? That's a very unstable company. That tells you that the owners haven't picked the right comp plan and they're still experimenting with things, or the owners have got greedy and they're clawing back money from the field. And that's what had happened to me in that one example I was giving to you earlier. So let me give you another example that does pertain to the company I'm with and why a lot of people have been joining it. So I have you know, some friends who have been with that company and have been with other companies. That person was with another health and wellness company at the time, and they had brought in quite a lot of business. Someone calling me, and when they compared that amount of business and then the comp plan in the company I'm with, they found that they typically would be getting about 30% more with the comp plan of the company I'm with. So for the same kind of work, what we found in our company is that a lot of people find that the same amount of numbers of people or sales revenue, they get paid more. Now that's a pretty darn good sign. So that's just kind of a finger in the air. But if you can see, obviously, that if you join a company and you understand the comp plan and you can make 100 there and you can make 130 in another company for the same work, well, duh, why wouldn't you join the company? If all of the things are equal, why wouldn't you join that company? So again, that's kind of working. So, I mean, it's just obvious thing, but it's important to say you need to kind of ask around. So, okay, we got two things. Now we've got the timing down and we've got the comp plan. So the third one, it's a huge one, is the product. And is the product right for you? And, different people are interested or in different things. So let me first say what I'm not interested in. So what I'm not interested in are Me Too products. And what I mean by Me Too is what I was referring to before. Like in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, we had these juice wars, and the company, I had done some legal work for them. So they put, to reward me, partially they had given me a position in the compensation plan as well. And so I started getting these checks and product. It was all for free, but it was part of my compensation. But I could see then after that company was massively successful, one of the few exceptions of being a startup, it was a massively successful company. Then other companies, there was tons of copycat companies. So that's another thing, by the way, you don't want to be joining. You don't want to be joining one of the copycat companies. You want, if you can, get the original. So there were acai berries and noni fruits and, all these different juicy companies. And you want a company that has a unique sales point or a unique product. If that time has passed, like it is with that one, because now you can go to Walmart or the drugstore or Amazon or whatever and get that product, although maybe not the same quality. But it's the same thing with the company that used the pink cars, right? It's just kind of past that time. But from a positive standpoint, and like the company I'm with now, I was really interested in it because it's a health and wellness company, and I needed something for certain aches and pains that I was experiencing. I can't go into it, but for FDA rules and so forth. But that's why. And my friend who was in the pink company, one of the problems that she had with them is she was paying $15 for a tube of mascara when she could go and spend less money and buy the same basic mascara at Walmart for less. So everybody, all you ladies love to have these great eyelashes, right? With the pink tube and the green lid and all that. I've seen there, I've been there. But you can get something like that tube of mascara down at Walmart for less than 15 bucks. So just be aware of that. So it's not always about the products, not always about the products, but you got to be conscious of the products. You want a product that's in demand, that is not a Me Too, that has a pretty good upward trajectory. And so when I looked at the stats and the explosive nature of, one of the main products in the company I'm with now, and saw the upward trajectory, like 50x, that was really attractive. That's the kind of thing. A similar thing in other industries, like you might be thinking about something like cryptocurrency. And let me talk about that. That's another one. There have been a lot of horrible messes and scams in cryptocurrency, which have given it a bad reputation. But again, in terms of products, there's products and services. There's all types of different ones. But let's link products and trends. So the fourth factor. So we got timing, we got the comp plan, we got products. Let's talk about trends. So you as a business builder, you want to be a trendsetter, but you don't want to follow fads. Now, fads are just like temporary up and down. So I'm not interested in being in the front of a fad, but it's very powerful to be in front of a trend. And there is the difference. So a trend is like over the last 10 years in America and around the world, you watch people become a lot more health conscious. So we got the Whole Foods phenomenon. People are going more organic. So organic is like a trend. Eating more healthy food, taking better care of their bodies. It's no longer just eating whatever and hanging out at McDonald's and eating those amazing McDonald's French fries or whatever you think about French fries. So people want to take care of their bodies, and there's all kinds of things, in that area of health. People want to live longer. They want to live with less disease. That's a trend. Okay, what's not a fad? What's a fad? So Do you remember when some people had Velcro wallets and that was your wallet? Well, that kind of went and disappeared. So you got to know the difference between a trend and a fad. And you don't want to be in a company that's just a fad, especially one fad. You want to be in a company that's in front of a trend. So trends like baby boomers are a trend. Everything that associated with baby boomers, whether it's health or financial problems now that they have as well. And millennials are the same trend. Now, millennials are the tend to be the children of baby boomers. So you've got kind of these two trends running in parallel that are two different niches that are both extremely powerful. So tracking any products or needs that those two groups want is a great place to be in a trend area or in a health area. Or now a trend is everybody wants a business from home. So home-based business, not a business that you have to go to hotels or coffee shops or whatever. Being at home, that's a trend. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a fad. It's part of the digital economy now, right? Okay, so we got momentum, we got comp plan, we got product, we got trends. And in trends, I think I talked about cryptocurrency, but trends, and you also need to know at least enough about the industry. Like in cryptocurrency, you need to know what's legal and what isn't. So in cryptocurrency, when it started becoming popular in 2016, 2017, the governments around the world hadn't started putting down too many rules yet. In 2018, that changed. It flipped quite considerably, and they started shutting down companies and putting people in prison for doing things that had not been clearly regulated before. So I still see people now, 2-3 years later, trying to market companies that we've known already for 2 or 3 years are illegal. I mean, blatantly illegal, but people are still doing it. So that's another example of not understanding the trends, and the trends include the regulatory aspects of our industry as well. And the fifth factor is systems. So of course, the timing is really important. The comp plan is really important. Products are really important. I guess I forgot one more thing about product, and that is a company with no product. All right, so there is like streaking around the internet right now a company. The company name starts with F, and it has no product. It's actually what's called a gifting program. I'll talk about that. It's also, you need common sense. But if a company has no product and no service and is just a money game, well, obviously that's a product factor you need to think about. So a company has to have a product or service. End of discussion. And I can't believe how many people are, now marketing a hugely obvious Ponzi scheme. But anyway, that's a separate thing. But let's cover the fifth factor, because it's systems. And it's great. I mean, you absolutely need a system. It might be the most important thing. And if you don't have a system, it's really, really hard to be successful. If you do have a system, then you're in pretty good shape. It depends on the system, of course, but not having a system is a disaster. So a system can be either something that your company has in place, or that the team you're joining has in place, or that you have in place. And now that system needs to be for you to build online. You have to be able to build online. You have to be able to use social media. I mean, who would have seen this crazy virus showing up? Maybe someone predicted it. I know some people did, but everybody's working from home. So even in direct sales and network marketing, people who used to be able to go and do meetings and conventions and so forth can't do that anymore. The worst is those that did coffee shops and hotel meetings, or home parties. I mean, that whole business model is like completely collapsed. And so you need a system to build your business from your home online using the internet. Now, we're all at home, and there's a lot of people out there now. All of a sudden, guess what? They're all looking for a side gig. And so that's really the reason I wanted to put this together. And if you haven't really understood systems, that friend of mine that was in another company and saw the comp plan and the money and the product and so forth. There are people out there that when they finally do understand these 5 factors and assess them, they're like, oh man, have I made a serious mistake? And I've also made my share of mistakes. It's out of those mistakes that I can share positive experience because I've learned from them. But you might know somebody that needs this information. It might be you. It might be someone that you would like to share that with. So if you can share this video, it'll be a video. I'll also produce it into a blog and circulate that as well. But you want to make sure that people make a correct decision on their future. And building this leveraged income, this the B quadrant of the famous Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant, so that people can have a second income source in case something like this ever happens again. Or maybe they just are tired of having a JOB and want to fire their BOSS. Then give them this video, give them the post that will be eventually put together with them so they can do that. Now, if you're here and you don't have an idea how to put together a system, you may have understood the other things. I'll give you a link at the end of this where you can learn about how to put together an internet marketing system. I've spent the last 4 or 5 years learning that and being mentored by some of the best in the industry on that. And we do have, a free resource that we can give you that will really be very helpful. Now, so I'll give that to you. If you're interested also in joining a team that's doing all these things, let me know, because I'd love to have you apply with Grace and myself, my wife and I, see if you might be a great fit for our team. But last but not least, let me just encourage you to use common sense, because it's sad to me that a lot of people are not using common sense. And again, I come back to that company, the F company that is going around. It's basically a chain letter, and it's a gifting scheme, meaning there's no product and you put in money and then your upline gets a portion of the money that you put in. And that's just called a gifting scheme. It's a gifting program, and those have been, ruled illegal for 40 or 50 years. How they're disguising it today is they're calling it's on the blockchain, and you're protected, they say, because it's a smart contract. And I can't believe people are falling for that. It's just greed. So those gifting programs are simply suckering people in for greed. So again, don't lose your common sense. Remember, to look, if there's no product, hello, that's a big, huge red flag. And a smart contract on a gifting program is still a gifting program. It just means, that when there's no money, there's not going to be any money. I can't believe that people don't see that a company where all you're doing is putting money in from the bottom and there's no product, eventually there's going to be no one in the bottom, and the people in the bottom are not going to get paid. That's what happens. That's why it's called a Ponzi scheme. It's a big, gross Ponzi scheme. But that one aside, which makes me upset because there's so many people falling for that garbage right now. Let's recap. So timing, comp plan, product or no product, the trends, so being in front of the trends, not the fads, and systems, and that important one about systems. So I hope this training has been helpful to you. For those of you live on Facebook, I've already given you a link, so you'll find that connected with you. Those of you here on the live broadcast, appreciate your joining us here. I'll give you a link where you can take a look at those systems. But thank you for your attention today. Appreciate your joining, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.